Thanks for taking time to meet with us today. We're here to talk to you about how to help Pedal the Cause reach its ultimate goal of 3,000 riders and $3 million in 2013. We have found that the main opportunity for PTC is to increase engagement. We have separated solutions into three main categories: the off-season, participants, and corporate. Dylan will begin by talking about the off-season.
Alright, so right now there's a lot of promise for PTC to have a really successful 2013 season, and we feel that being more active in the off season would be taking a huge step towards that. Alright, so according to Facebook, right now there isn't a whole lot of participation in the events that you guys are hosting for these events. And so we feel PTC needs to take the opportunity to better reach out to these participants. With the plans we came up with for the off-season, we hope to keep the PTC participants active and engaged throughout the entire year. Alright, so we have three possible solutions for this. One, we want PTC to host more train rides and plan them earlier in advance so that everyone will be very aware, like a month or two before each event is held. And on the PTC Facebook page, there are currently no events planned. Our goal is to have these events planned on the website before a month or two before each event. And also, we would Alright, and then we have three more, for the off-season, we have three possible events that you guys could plan, or four actually. One would be a team dinner provided for like the team that has raised the most donations, and it would be provided by one of your sponsors or a partner, like a sponsor or a partner that you have that would also be connected with a restaurant. So kind of it would thank the team for all their participation and like everything they've done, because obviously one of the top teams, I think they should be thanked for everything they've done. Also maybe a volunteer party, or like following after the 2013 season, we think that the volunteers should all be thanked for all their efforts that they've done, because I think volunteers were probably one of the most important parts of the event itself, and we noticed that there hasn't been a whole lot of return rate for all participation, but we think the volunteers would, once they come to the event, they would really appreciate being thanked for everything they've done, and they would be really happy to come back the next year. Also, we would like to have like a previous rider gathering, like maybe some type of banquet for riders who have previously participated in the event, and it would be a little before the actual early bird special, so it would remind previous riders of the 2013 upcoming season. Well, I guess it would actually be 2014 because it would be put in place after this year's event, but it would basically remind all the riders, like it would bring them together, and once riders start seeing familiar faces and realize all the good times that they had with PTC, it would make the decision to come back next year pretty obvious for them. Also, a great idea that we think we had would be a donations seminar, and basically it would be taking the top teams, or the top donation teams. It would be a seminar for them to like communicate the best ways that they, the best experiences they had, what they should do, what new PTC participants should do to get the most donations, and also what they should avoid for their season. And then third, or actually, we feel the PTC newsletter has been great for keeping all PTC participants updated about important topics, and it's definitely one of PTC's best tool for communicating events and pretty much anything Pedal the Cause related. So what we wanted to do for that is we wanted to incorporate a calendar that is sent through specific emails. Like for each month, there would be let's say for February, and you would, each person connected to the newsletter would receive a calendar with all events for that month, and it would also link them back to the PTC website where they can look at the full calendar and also look at all the specifics for each event, and so dates and times would all be better communicated. Also, it would, we want to do a type of notification system, but a type of similar to what Facebook has set in place for events, but we would like it to be in PT's actual website. And so basically what that would do is everyone connected to the newsletter would receive, when they receive like an email, it would say, here we have this training ride is on this day, this date and time, and that person would be able to check whether or not they will be able to attend the event. And what this will do is like, it'll make it so your staff will be able to make important decisions, like if they should send additional emails out to all the participants, like letting them know that they need to be more proactive, or they need to say whether or not they're going to be at an event. And it's like, it's basically, Facebook has this and PTC could use it, but the problem is everyone PTC is trying to reach is already connected to the newsletter, and it would just be a lot easier for everyone to find out about it through the newsletter rather than having to check Facebook. And then for now for the blog. What we wanted to do with the blog is we wanted to make its own separate page on the website rather than a link, just to cause less confusion, and so any of the participants can just go onto the website, click on the blog, and view it. And also we wanted to have it so the blog is accessible through their Facebook page and also through Twitter. So on the Twitter profile, you check out our blog, and then it would just refer them over to the website and on directly to the blog page. Now for Twitter, we wanted to place the PTC Twitter follow button on the registration page, making it an option for any participants to follow the Twitter account as soon as they sign up for the newsletter, or once they become affiliated with PTC. And also, right after participants have signed up to the newsletter or signed up with PTC, they would receive an additional email saying, like, here connect with us through Twitter and our blog and on Facebook. So right after that, they'll start to becoming more like proactive in checking Twitter and Facebook and everything like that. Also, we wanted to do for Twitter, we wanted to do a nonprofit organizations have been doing ever since Twitter. Well, not ever since Twitter's been created, but a thing called Follow Fridays, and Follow Fridays are to promote like more awareness for nonprofit organizations. So pretty much anyone who's a part of a nonprofit organization or other nonprofit organizations can talk about Pedal the Cause and like how great it is, everything, just anything about it on Fridays. And what that'll do is it'll really like gain awareness for people about Pedal the Cause. And we also, for Twitter, we wanted to host a tweetathon, which would notify all their followers of a date and time where participants of PTC could tweet about maybe a feel-good story, like who they're riding for, just like things that would hit close to home and like help participants. Well, it would raise awareness and also help participants just be more active and gain more followers. Alright, now for Facebook, we had 3 ways to increase engagement through Facebook. One way is at each off-season, or not each off-season event, but all events. When you check into the event that you are going to, each person will be asked to, on Facebook, check that they attended the event, and when they do that, they will be their name will be put in a raffle to win a gift card or some type of gift from one of the PTC's sponsors. And what this will do is it'll really help gain more participation for events and also be more proactive with Facebook use. Second, what we're going to do is Motivational Mondays. On Pedal the Cause's Facebook page, we would like to promote engagement for all participants. We would like to encourage them to maybe to tag PTC on Facebook or on Twitter, and when they're talking about like I said kind of earlier about Motivational Mondays, and what they would do is maybe tweet about someone they're riding for or something like that, and whatever PTC felt was the best story or best picture or best quote from that, they would then repost that on their page and make it aware to everyone who follows them. And then for the actual tabs on Facebook, we wanted to add a blog, or we wanted to add blog, Twitter, and get involved in their tabs. This will connect all social medias and will keep everyone aware of all events. Right now, there's a lot of now Jonah will talk to you about participants.
Okay, like Dylan said, I'm going to talk to you about participants. We divided participants into 3 separate groups. We have the riders, the donors, and the volunteers. So to start off with the donors, we want to increase the amount that each donor donates to the riders who are out fundraising. And the way we want to do that is we want to create a good feeling with these donors, get them really connected with Pedal the Cause, have them really believe in stopping cancer and supporting cancer research. And one of the ways we want to do that is we want to create a video that would follow the life or the story of someone or a family affected by cancer, but not just affected by cancer, someone who's been affected by Pedal the Cause, someone who's been helped by Pedal the Cause and the cancer research which you help fund. And that video would be available on your website. When someone wants to know about Pedal the Cause, the first thing they do, they Google you, your website pops up, the video's there, and now they have a face to associate with the cause. It's not just signing a check to get a rider who's out fundraising out of their face. It's actually they're helping this person, they're helping someone real. And this video, we'd also like to have a link in the thank you letter that you send out for this video. And along with the video and the thank you letter, we'd also like to have an update on how cancer research is coming, because once people donate, cancer research doesn't just stop. It's ongoing throughout the year, and if we can remind people of that, they'll be more likely to come back and be repeat donors. And also, this would also include riders. We'd like to have a day where we invite everyone to come and meet the patients who are actually affected by the money they're raising, meet the patients who are affected by cancer. And this would, again, help to associate a face with the cause and hopefully create repeat donors and donors who would donate more money to the cause. And for riders, we would like to increase the number of riders, obviously, for next year. And the way we'd like to do that, we'd like to advertise through ESPN.com. ESPN.com has a lot of things going for it. It's got the athletic market, the people who don't want to just donate money. They want to get out there. They want to ride their bikes. They want to do something to help cancer research. It's also hitting that younger age demographic, age 18 to 34, that Pedal the Cause hasn't hit as much as the older demographic. And with ESPN.com, you can be really specific with the target market so that you hit the people you really want. You're not just firing out and hoping that some people who get the message will come and ride. And along with that, we'd also like to advertise through Fox Sports Midwest with the same type of idea. It's got the athletic market. It's also reaching out to a wider area, not just in the St. Louis area, but outside the greater St. Louis area. Also, for riders, we'd like to have a jersey color system. For each year ridden, there'd be a different jersey color. And we feel like this would really help to not only recognize the people who have come back multiple years, but also get people who are coming back here for the first year to look up to the people who've come back for their third or their fourth year. And it would give them someone to talk to, hey, why are you coming back for this year? What makes you do it? And it also gives them something to strive for. Next year I want that blue jersey, or I want that green jersey. And so moving on into volunteers, we want to increase the number of volunteers as the number of riders goes up to compensate. And instead of trying to convince new people to come volunteer for Pedal the Cause, we decided to make Pedal the Cause aware to the people who are already looking for volunteer opportunities. So we identified 3 groups within that, 3 groups of people who are looking actively for volunteer opportunities. We have the Boy Scouts of America. We have private schools in the area whose students need service hours each semester. And we have churchgoers in the St. Louis area. So the way we want to reach out to those people, the Boy Scouts of America, the Greater St. Louis Area Council has a website, and on that website there's a tab, and you can click down and it lists service opportunities. And so a Boy Scout or a Scoutmaster who is looking to volunteer their time or their troops' time, that's the first place they would go, and we want to have Pedal the Cause listed in every there. Now the second place they would go would be to the Greater St. Louis Area Council's Facebook page. And we've already spoken to the PR representative for the Greater St. Louis Area Council, and he says that he supports any outside organization posting the volunteer opportunities. And so anyone who is actively involved, actively looking for volunteer opportunities, could go there through the Boy Scouts and find Pedal the Cause. And with the private schools in the area, these students are always looking for new volunteer opportunities because they do have the required amount that they have to get done each semester. So if we can get that on the school's announcements or in the school bulletin, we have that contact information for you in the formal plan. And we think that that would really reach out to a lot of people who would volunteer for Pedal the Cause. And the same goes with the churchgoers in the St. Louis area. A notice in the church bulletin. Not everybody reads the church bulletin, obviously, but the people who do, those are the people who are actively trying to help the community. Those are the people who would be most likely to go out and volunteer, and also to spread the word to their friends about Pedal the Cause and really get the message out there, and hopefully increase volunteers.
Our next aspect of the participants falls under the category of corporate riders. Last year, the corporate riders raised a significantly large amount of money for Pedal the Cause. This year, we hope to increase that further. Last year, on average, each corporate rider raised approximately $850. Our goal for this year is for each corporate rider to raise on average $1,000. And we've created an incentives program for these corporate teams, in which the team that raises the most over the initial $1,000 per corporate team, or per corporate rider, will be able to apply for the corporate incentives program, and the team that raises the most will be able to choose the beneficiary that they want their money to go towards. We understand that Pedal the Cause does not want to relinquish any of the control of the money for this, so we have decided that the beneficiaries that they can choose from will have to be decided on by Pedal the Cause for that given year. To put this into perspective, Edward Jones last year raised the most out of any corporate riding team. They raised approximately $240,000. But with the number of riders that they had, each rider only raised approximately $733. In order for the teams to reach their goals for this year, they'll have to significantly increase their fundraising. While we want to attract the teams to increase the amount of money they raise, we also would like to entice current sponsors to create corporate teams to help out even further. In addition to the current sponsors, we would like for new sponsors to create corporate teams as well. The area that you told us Pedal the Cause needed to improve on was the cost of food for the event. Therefore, we focused our sponsorship, the new sponsors that we would like to bring in, we focused them primarily on companies that could provide food or monetary values to lessen the amount of the food for the cost of food for the event. So the ones that our primary sponsors were Deerbergs, Schnucks, and Trader Joe's. Deerbergs and Schnucks are locally owned and operated and buy all the produce locally. They also like to become involved in the community, and they like to give back to the organizations. Trader Joe's, we feel that most of our target market and our personas are shopped there. We understand that you guys are currently sponsors with Whole Foods, and we feel that Trader Joe's could provide food for the event as well. Finally, one of our other sponsors, while Alpine Shop could not provide food for the event, we feel that they could provide monetary means to help lessen the cost of the food for the event. As well as Alpine Shop hosts a spinning class that we feel that Pedal the Cause could get their name out there and get some of the people, if not to be involved in the spinning portion of Pedal the Cause, to be involved in writing for Pedal the Cause. So our main goals are to acquire new sponsors to help decrease the cost of food at the event, and also to increase an incentive for new and existing sponsors to create corporate riding teams.
So in conclusion, all of these ideas will help increase engagement through all aspects of Pedal the Cause. This will be accomplished by raising awareness during the off-season and through social media, by providing more methods of increasing participation, and by using more ways to capitalize on local corporations through sponsorship ideas. The final result being more than 3,000 riders and more than $3 million raised to fund cancer research. So we thank you for your time and would be happy to answer any questions you have.
That's great, guys. You know, it's interesting. You guys touched on a handful of things that we feel like we are doing, and a few things that we certainly need improvement on. You know, a couple things that jumped out at me were, you know, incentives. You know, it was mentioned for the best team, it was mentioned for corporations. You know, we threw out certain incentives this year for each rider. And I think that's something that, you know, has a lot of potential. So we're asking a lot of people to raise a lot of money, and we want to put good incentives out there. We want to put incentives out there that, in my opinion, reward people but don't dissuade people from fundraising. So like, you know, I really like the team dinner award, or some type of award for a team. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of other people that are raising a lot of money, raising more money per rider, let's say, than some of the bigger teams like Edward Jones. You know, they were a great team, right? But so maybe you could kind of elaborate on some of these incentives a little bit, and you know, how would you go about, you know, incentives that are kind of inclusive as well as just, you know, biggest team or something like that?
Well, for like the team dinner, like you were saying, I was thinking about that actually last night when I was getting ready for the presentation. It could, I mean, obviously, it's you guys, but we could, we could do like, instead of the top team who raised the most money, we could be like the team who's each rider who raised the most money, something like that. So instead of having Edward Jones with 100 team riders raise 50,000, it might be like a team with like 7 riders who raise like 1,500 each or something like that, and they could be rewarded for that. Not even rewarded, but just like really like thanked, because acknowledged and thanks. Because I mean, the teams who are obviously like that proactive and getting that many donations, they're not worried about like being recognized for it. They're worried about the cause, and they're doing it for that.
Yeah, so we have this thing called the Yellow Jersey Dinner, and that's an incentive where I'd like to think that, and there are certainly people that strive to be kind of a yellow jersey, and we had a really nice dinner last year honoring all the Yellow Jersey winners. We gave them a cool gift, good acknowledgement, and we do it in late February, so it kind of kicks off this year. And I think that we tried to have some lower levels as well. It didn't quite get communicated as well. I don't know if you noticed on our website, the King of the Mountain level. And so it's good idea generation. You know, one one thing is volunteer party. So we had a volunteer party last year. It was down at a place called B-Works, Bicycle Works, which is a very cool place in Solar that do a lot of stuff for underprivileged kids, trains them how to fix a bike and trains them how to work on computers, and after they finish a course they either get a new bike or a new computer. And so we're planning on doing a volunteer party. But I'd like to hear more about, you know, we have okay retention with our volunteers. We have okay retention with our riders. It could be better. We're going to need it to be better, as you guys pointed out. You know, volunteer party. Last year we threw this party. We had very small attendance. And any ideas on how to drive attendance, whether it's through social media or incentives or whatever, to kind of make that volunteer party more successful? Because we threw a cool party, just no one was there.
There probably needs to be more advertising, like on the social media and the website, because since we suggested a volunteer party, we didn't know that you threw one last year, because we didn't see it on the website, didn't see it on the social media. So put it more places. You can put it in the letters that you send out. You can, when someone signs up to be a volunteer, you can have it say, you know, at the end of the year, you can join us at this party.
Even at the event itself, like right after the event. I don't know, I haven't been to one actually, but do you guys kind of come together after the event? Maybe is there someone on a microphone talking or anything like that? Just like, hey, thanks for coming everyone. By the way, this volunteer party, we really want you guys to come. It'll be like a really good event, something like that.
Yeah, you know, the day of the event, you know, post-ride type of thing, if that's what, it's a little scattered. You know,
Yeah,
people are, it's more of a celebration than it is. Saturday night, we try and, you know, do a short program, half-hour program. And, yeah, I mean, I think a couple things there. I mean, your point of just getting it out there, when people sign up, it's, you know, put the date out there so people know when to, you know, that there's this event happening. So that's good. I want to go to, you know, a couple of the things that I really liked were Follow Fridays and Motivational Mondays. So is Follow Fridays, is that, you know, am I just have my head in the sand? Is that a big, is that well known and well documented?
I think it is actually. I think it's actually maybe slowing down a little bit from what it used to be. But I actually didn't know about it either until a few days ago, and it's basically, it's just, I haven't married to you kind of what it was, but I guess from a lot of nonprofits around the entire country, there's like a really, like, a lot of people who participate in it, and it gets a lot of attention.
Jennifer, do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Nonprofits tweet out hashtag Follow Fridays or hashtag FF, which is basically they tweet on Fridays a person or another company that they think that their followers should also follow. So either you have like a very inspirational person that you want your followers to know about, or you have another non-profit organization that you also want them to help out with.
Right, got it, okay.
And for Motivational Mondays, I know you kind of explained it, but just to elaborate, your Pedal the Cause, like followers on your Facebook, people who like the page, you're coming up on their news feed. So if they are tagging you in a post, just like picture, video, anything, if it's just like a picture of a quote, we saw that a lot on Pinterest and Instagram. It doesn't have to be anything big or anything long, but you'll pick one and you'll repost it, so that will show everyone that is already following you or already liking your page to say, hey, like, look at these people, these are real people, like what he said, like hit it home, like close to the heart. And so those people that are seeing that post, they're more likely to donate to that person or get involved, or even like just check out your website, because all about social media. It's about one person seeing that and reposting it, and then all those people who already are seeing that reposting that. So it's kind of just like a snowball effect, and like it's kind of like word of mouth. Like it's free, and it can go a lot of places.
Yeah. That's good. So I think that there are a lot of good things in that social media that we'll probably want to follow up on. And just, we're in the midst of hiring a communications director, and, one of the goals of that communications director was to, be a lot more disciplined, a lot more prolific on the social media. So that's clearly an identifiable weakness that we have that we want to improve on. But I think that we'll follow up with you guys on, some of the specific ideas that you have in terms of providing tags and, how to, placement so the video idea is a really good one. We talked about, we took a lot of footage at our event, and we had this, I don't know if any of you guys saw it, we had this iRide video booth where people would stand in there and say why they ride. And then we had, huge swath of film from the event itself. And our goal is to create like a 10 or 12 minute video that includes sponsors, includes our researchers, includes patients and survivors, fighters, participants, and then try and subset out a couple segments. So you'd send your sponsors a 2-minute clip. Wouldn't be the whole 10 or 12 type of thing. You'd send people who want to kind of carve out some of what we're doing on the research front can send that. And I think that's a really good idea. The whole, you hit on a very important topic, and that is donor retention. And so I see it in my donors, I'm out there trying to raise money like everyone else, and it's important to let them know what we're doing with our money. And that was one of the key things that people really wanted to hear about, and that is, and not just, people wanted two things, and sometimes kind of not sure what people want to see, but they want to hear about research and what we're doing with our money, and they want to hear, good stories, inspirational stories. So, I think that's a good plan, especially to link the video into a thank you letter, especially even on, an electronic thank you letter, to have them kind of click that. I'll come back to the ESPN thing. The jersey color system is good but challenging logistically. Now, I think that you're on the right track. I mean, I think we could do certain things. We've kind of kicked it around, and then we got, we've always kind of gotten, forget it. It's, we've got lazy about it. But, there's a potential things like a survivor jersey. This will be our 4th event, maybe a 5-year type of jersey. Keep people engaged there. We had a yellow jersey this year. So I think that there's some things there. When you start carving out too many different colored jerseys, it gets messy when putting it out. But, ESPN.com, Fox Sports Midwest, ESPN.com, are you able to, go local with that?
Yeah.
Local,
ESPN.com, it allows you to really pick your areas.
right.
You could hit St. Louis if you wanted to get in the Illinois side of the equation. You could hit the city of Illinois. You can pretty much just pick your spots. As
Is it
far
by
as
county or zip code or?
I believe it's by zip code. And there is contact information in the formal document for ESPN too, if you need to get more information on that.
Okay.
And then also I think we were gonna go to Fox Sports. We thought that would be a good idea because while ESPN will let you hit really locally and specifically, Fox Sports could give you a bigger pull throughout the entire Midwest region. And it would also still hit in the St. Louis area. And when you look at some of the things that are on Fox Sports, it's a lot of outdoor stuff, which is kind of who would be participating in it. Plus there's also the Cardinals, and they have a huge following, of course, throughout the entire Midwest region. So if there are advertisements during the Cardinals season, that also would lead up until your event.
Yeah, that's important. We may want to, follow up with you on that. We're about, we're doing our budgeting and, trying to develop and then, commit to a communications budget is important. I think that, what happens is that you commit to it in January, February, and all of a sudden everyone's hitting you with ideas, advertising my paper or here or there, and it becomes a little too opportunistic. We spent about 10 grand on charter communications last year. And we had a mix of stations, some of which was PTC Sports during the Tour de France. Some of it was on, TBS or TNT, and then on NBC during the Tour de France coverage. And I'm not sure we're going to do that. It would be interesting to price out Fox Sports Midwest. We may have had a couple spots on Fox Sports Midwest, but ESPN.com, you're thinking more online than, right, okay. When you were looking at this, were you comparing it to our coverage on KSDK at all?
Not so much comparing as far as looking at new outlets.
Right.
So we kind of looked a little bit at KSDK, and since it's kind of a different animal, we thought, with what you have with KSDA, because it's kind of like a partnership. It was we didn't really know how to compare it so much as almost to take it on as like a new task. So that's kind of how we went about it.
Very good. So, a couple things on the volunteer side. Boy Scouts are good. Private schools are good. We've done some work, not just with private schools, but with all schools. We had this kind of student program out there, which is probably going to be turn into more of a volunteer type program than trying to get kids to ride and raise money. But the churches are tough because our event's on a Sunday morning. However, it provides a good idea because our course is along a ton of churches, and we need to have good awareness of our ride when we get to church early and just be out there and support our riders. I do a lot of cycling on Sunday morning, and the most dangerous driver in the world is someone who's running late for church. I mean, they would much rather hit you than be late for church. It doesn't really add up. Dead cyclist, but I'm not late for church. So I think that's a good idea. Just to kind of systematically go through our course and put that out there. That's it's not just with churches, but it's with anyone along our course. And we're right now in the we're right now trying to understand what our course is. We've done the same course 2 years in a row, essentially. People are getting used to it. Vendors, retailers and police and volunteers are getting used to it. But at the same time, we've had a lot of complaints about, you know, safety issues on the D Road, Conway Road, very narrow. We send riders on our long route of Clarkson Road. If you've ever been on that, it's kind of a big, you know, 4-lane type highway. Cars go like 50, 60 miles an hour on it. It's a challenge. So, you know, as we go through this, process, but I think the point is that you're, you know, you want to solicit support along the course, and it includes Boy Scouts, private schools, you know, churches, all those things combined. You want to kind of make this a communal event, and so there's like all this outreach that has to happen. So we should talk more on that strategy. So on the corporate incentives, you know, it's interesting. You know, those numbers get so skewed. I don't know if you guys have done your statistical analysis, but you know, an average is one number. You know, so you know, you came up with a number of $800 per rider, essentially. But it's interesting to take into, you know, drop your top 10 or top 20 fundraisers and understand what the number drops down to. So like you look at Edward Jones, for an example, and you have a guy that raised $40,000 in the number 2 fundraiser, right? You take him out of the equation, what does it drop down to? So, you know, when you're doing statistics, you really should, you know, always kind of try and do some type of normalization of data, right? Try and take the outliers out. Now, I say that because what we found is that a lot of the friends and family teams who have a personal connection to cancer tend to outraise the corporate teams. We had corporations like a Peabody that paid for the registration fee and the fundraising fee for all their riders, you know, up to a certain amount. So you have 20 riders, each of which is raising like $250 or $500. And I think to your point is, how do you get these corporations to kind of get into the spirit of fundraising, you know? And so you want to take people up from 800. I want to get people to actually fundraise, right? So I think you're on the right path. You're on the right. It's the right idea. But how do you get somebody like an Emerson Electric or a Peabody who just outright paid for their employees, or McCarthy, kind of the same thing, to actually get off their butts and do some fundraising, as opposed to just kind of sit back and say, hey, my company's paying for it. Because most of these guys are corporate guys. They have connections, or they have, you know, decent networks to tap into. They're just kind of lacking the motivation, right? So it comes back to a lot of the things that all you guys are talking about. How do we connect these corporate guys to, you know, the inspirational stories or the business of cancer research in St. Louis, or the work that our money is actually doing to provide new treatments, and you know, so that's something I think we should explore a little bit more. I wanted to come back. I wrote down incentives. What types of can you go over incentives?
The corporate teams. It was that if each team, like on average, if each member of the team raised approximately $1,000, the team that raised the most for each individual rider would be able to choose the beneficiary that they donate their money to.
Oh, right, yeah. I'm not sure that's complex.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to start to talk about carving money out then to other beneficiaries type of thing, or to specific?
It would just be that whatever you guys decided that you would give to each beneficiary, and they chose to give to a specific beneficiary, then I guess it would still probably end up being about the same amount that you guys would give to them, but they would just get to choose
Right, they
the
would
money
count,
that,
right.
yeah, their beneficiary.
Yeah, that's actually potential for, St. Louis Children's Hospital. They get, the lion's share of our funding goes to the Sightless Cancer Center. And Children's always looking for additional funding. We have a couple teams that are focused solely on children's, and so that may be an opportunity after.
We've got about 5 or 6 minutes left, just so you know.
So, anyone else want to make a comment, or, while I think about my next question here?
Yeah, you spoke earlier about when we were doing the statistics about, like, somebody on the corporate team that raises a lot more than everybody else. And what we were hoping to do with the incentives program is, like, that person that's obviously raising a lot of money on the corporate team has a connection with cancer, probably has a story, has a history. What we were hoping to do was, like, with this incentives program, was be able to get him to motivate others as well.
Yeah.
Because, if they get to choose where their money goes in the beneficiaries that you've pre-screened, pre-chosen, because we know that's a part that you don't want to give up at all, that will give them a motivation to get others to fundraise more, because he wants to be able to choose, like, maybe he has a connection with pancreatic cancer, and that's one of the beneficiaries you're choosing. Well, I mean, if he gets to choose where his money's going, he feels like he gets to help solve the problem that's caused him trouble in the past, and so, like, that way he'll be able to help other members on his team get inspired.
Yeah, so that I think that the two things, when you say it like that, and there's two things here. One is engagement, one is retention, right? I mean, that's, now that we kind of built this, organization, we got 2,000 riders and we raised $2 million. Now, there's only, one way to go, and that's up, or and that's really our goal. I mean, when we started this, we felt as if we should be able to build, St. Louis can handle, and our beneficiaries are deserving of an event that could sustain $3 to $5 million a year. And so that's our goal, to create that sustainable thing. And so retention is super important. And, I think someone mentioned a rider banquet, post-event rider banquet.
Yeah.
And a donation seminar as well.
Yeah, the donation seminar, I really thought that would be a good idea, because it would, maybe for, I think Team Cause, obviously they're really well connected with the PTC, so maybe just basically host a seminar, and get as many people as you can, new and past riders, and just talk about all their success, where they were most successful, what they should do the most, and what they should avoid in gaining donations.
So we have a couple team captain events. So we've had our team captains in a room, and we've had someone who's very good at fundraising kind of do a bit of a seminar, but it's kind of going out to team captains. She's kind of our team captain ambassador, and I'm wondering if we could do something that is online, like a fundraising. I don't know if you create a video, or you create kind of like a PowerPoint or something like that just kind of documents these are. And we have top 10 fundraising tips, but kind of the next generation of fundraising tools on